Good morning, particularly to those of you at the back. My name's Simon Collins, and I used to run until December Parsons School of Fashion, so I know all about the naughty children standing at the back and making noise. So welcome. It's fantastic to be here. It's thrilling to see you all. This is a very fine and noble morning to spend in this area where no one really shows up till about 10 o'clock, I gather. The cab driver that brought me here said, "What on earth are you doing on Argyle Street this early?" So we're here to see the sustainability report from H&M. And I'm sure those of you that are involved in sustainability already understand the importance of it. But for those of you that don't, this doesn't really happen. No one really, I live in America, and no one really cares that much about sustainability over there. They should, and there are a few that do, but not enough, not by a long way enough. And so this very morning is an opportunity for those of us that care about it to bring more attention to it. So I'm thrilled to be part of this. There are some very, very smart people that you're going to be seeing on stage through the morning. We're going to see a film. We're going to hear about the sustainability report itself. We're going to see the Conscious Collection, and then there's going to be a panel discussion with some incredibly smart people. This is only going to be interesting if you ask questions. So I encourage all of you to think hard about what's being said and to ask questions. There's going to be a specific time when we're going to do that a little bit later, so hold on to them if you see something that you want to talk about. But please do talk about it, because this is a vitally important topic, and it's only going to become more so, and this is a wonderful opportunity to engage in that. As I said, I come from Parsons, and we have a history of asking very, very challenging questions. So I look forward to being stumped by some of you later on. With that, we're now going to introduce a film which is going to give you an overview of some of the elements of the sustainability report. So please enjoy the film, and I'll be back on after that to announce the next session. Thank you.
At H&M, we want to make conscious fashion choices attractive, available, and affordable to as many people as possible. This is why we have created H&M Conscious, which is the name for everything we do for a more sustainable fashion future. Through hundreds of conscious actions, we put our aims into practice. Here are a few of the conscious actions highlights of 2014. This t-shirt was made with 100% certified organic cotton. We are the #1 user of certified organic cotton in the world. In 2014, 21.2% of our cotton was either certified organic, recycled, or grown under the Better Cotton Initiative. Our goal is to reach 100% by 2020 at the latest. We use many other conscious materials too, for example organic linen, Tencel, organic hemp, and recycled wool. In 2014, 90% of our products were transported by ship and train, and 27% of the electricity we used was renewable. From 2015, our ambitious new goal is to use only renewable electricity in all our stores, offices, and warehouses, on all markets where this is possible. The life of a t-shirt or a dress doesn't end in our stores. Washing it at 30 degrees instead of 60 will cut energy use in half, and save money too. You can drop any clothes you no longer want or need at H&M. We will give them a new life. In 2014, we doubled the amount of clothing collected this way to more than 7,600 tons. That's as much fabric as in over 38 million t-shirts. We also introduced the first pieces made with recycled cotton from clothes collected in H&M stores. Making recycled cotton requires zero water, fertilizers, or chemicals, and fewer carbon emissions than growing new cotton. Our ultimate goal is to create a closed loop for fashion, where old clothes can be turned into new creations instead of going to waste. H&M Conscious isn't just about the planet and its future. It is also about people. We don't own factories. We work with independent suppliers. We set the bar high for all supplier factories, regularly checking how well they meet our standards, and we reward good progress with better business. Our full factory list is public. In 2015, we created further transparency by adding the first suppliers to our suppliers to the list. We also work for fair living wages across the entire textile industry. As part of that, our CEO has personally met with the Prime Ministers of Bangladesh and Cambodia to promote higher minimum wages. And we have started to implement the so-called fair wage method in selected role model supplier factories. This is showing promising results, such as an increase in wages even though overtime has decreased. We are now working to scale this up to 60 of our strategic supplier factories throughout 2015, and to reach all of them by 2018. Those were some of the 2014 H&M Conscious Actions highlights. For more information about H&M and our 7 conscious commitments, as well as hundreds of conscious actions, please visit hnm.com/conscious.
Thank you. So, some interesting facts in there. Of course, the sustainability report contains an awful lot more of it. And of course, there's a long, long way to go. But I think what's interesting is at least the conversation is taking place here. Now, to give more context to some of the things you saw there, please welcome Anna Gedde from H&M, who's going to explain it.
Thank you, Simon. So, welcome everyone to the H&M Conscious Action Sustainability Report for 2014. This is actually our 13th report, but for the first time we are gathered here in London in this inspiring setting to share some of our most important facts and highlights from last year. So I would like to begin with thanking all of you who have taken the time to be here today, either in person or following us via live stream. So just to begin with, my name is Anna Gedde, and as of January this year, I am Head of Sustainability at H&M. I work with a fantastic team of around 25 people who are based in our head office in Stockholm, and together we work with more than hundreds of colleagues all around the world to drive our sustainability work. I started working for H&M in 2008, and my first position was actually as the assistant to Ingrid Sjöström, who was our Head of Sustainability back then. I think when watching the video that you just saw, it's amazing to see how many of the things that we thought were almost impossible back then that are now part of our everyday sustainability work. For example, one of our main missions is to make conscious choices in fashion affordable, attractive, and available to as many people as possible. Back in 2008, we had a few products that were made with organic cotton that were sold in selected stores. But today, we have this fantastic, conscious, exclusive collection that can be seen on red carpets all around the world. And just as important, we have a wide variety of conscious products that are sold in all our stores all year round. Behind that achievement is, of course, a lot of hard work, from designing the product to also making sure that we have the right raw materials available. And here is where I think that we have taken a great step last year. When I started at H&M, we could barely express our use of organic cotton in percent. And today, we are the world's biggest buyer. All in all, we have increased our use of organic cotton, recycled cotton, and so-called better cotton from around 16% in 2013 to 21% in 2014. This marks a really important step towards the overall goal that we have set, that by 2020, we want all our cotton to come from more sustainable sources. Another achievement that I am very proud of is our work to reduce carbon emissions. So last year, we grew with 18%, but despite that, we managed to reduce our carbon emissions with 4%, 1 year earlier than we had planned. But we know that climate change is one of the world's greatest challenges today. And as an industry leader, we want to take that responsibility and go even further. So last year, we decided to only use renewable electricity for all our stores, our offices, and warehouses in all markets where this is available. Already by the end of this year, we expect renewable electricity to account for more than 80% of our total use, which is up from 27% today. Just here in the UK, we've already managed to go 100% renewable with all our electricity. Another thing that seemed almost unthinkable back in 2008 was for customers to hand in unwanted garments in stores. Today, our garment collecting initiative is one of our greatest successes. So as you know, customers today can hand in any unwanted garments that they have in practically any of our stores, and we will help to give it a new life, either by recycling or by reusing the product. Just during last year, we managed to double the amount of garments that we had collected, and collected more than 7,600 tons. So just to put that in perspective, it's basically as much fabric as in 38 million t-shirts. So this is of course great because it keeps fashion from ending up in landfills. But if we want to be truly sustainable, we need to do a lot more. I often get the question of what I think is one of the most important sustainability issues for H&M. There are of course many, but one that is particularly important to me is our work to try to create a closed loop for textiles. As a business, we want to grow and we want to be able to continue to provide fashion for people also in the future. But in order to remain successful, we need to do this within the planetary boundaries. So what we need to do is to change the view of how fashion is made today. It means moving from a linear production model to a circular one where old garments can be turned into new products again and again and again. So I think that one of our greatest achievements last year was actually our closed-loop denim collection, where we managed to make products out of fibers that have been recycled from the garments that have been collected in our stores. This is only the beginning to us. So already for this year, we have set a new ambitious target that we want to increase the amount of such product with more than 300%. Today, we can make such product with using 20% recycled fiber without losing any quality. And of course, this is a great first step. But to create a fully closed loop, it will require a lot of work, not least when it comes to innovation and technology. So what we need to do is to collaborate with others and make sure that we can develop technology and also take it to scale. And one such collaboration that I am really proud of is our work with innovation company Worn Again that are based here in London. Together with them and the Caring Group, we have set out to test a unique chemical recycling technology that makes it possible to separate and extract cotton and polyester from old garments and textiles. And the aim, of course, is to be able to transform those fibers into new fabric again. Our hope is that these tests will show that this technology is commercially viable and that it will provide an effective solution towards a closed loop. A continued growth that doesn't cost the planet is, of course, a very important part of our social sustainability work as well. The garment industry is a great driver for development, and it provides jobs for millions of people all around the world. Only our suppliers employ more than 1.6 million people, of which 64% are women. So as such, the garment industry is really a great way for many women to get their first job, become independent, and be able to provide for themselves and their families. Helping to create jobs is, of course, a great thing, but it's not enough. We need to make sure that these jobs are good jobs and that it actually makes their lives better for the people who have them. So we invest a lot of resources in helping our suppliers to improve working conditions in their factories every day. And looking back just a few years, I think we can see some great improvements here. So we have an index that we measure our suppliers' factories and their sustainability performance against. Every year, we conduct thousands of audits where we check that these factories meet requirements, for example, when it comes to working conditions. And here we can see that the performance is steadily increasing. Only last year, we managed to increase the average score in this index from 78% to 81%, which is a great achievement. However, some of the challenges that we face on the social side are not specific to H&M and our suppliers. They're industry-wide issues. And if we want to tackle these, we need to move beyond the individual factory walls. I think one example of where we do this is our work with fair living wages. In 2013, we developed a unique roadmap in consultation with a variety of NGOs and trade unions and other experts within this field. In this roadmap, we have set out the roles and the actions that are needed from all the actors that are involved in achieving fair living wages in the textile supply chain. This involves brands like ourselves, suppliers, and the worker representatives, and not least governments. And the overall goal that we have set is by 2018, we want all our strategic suppliers to have structures in place to be able to pay their workers a fair living wage. All in all, this is going to cover more than 850,000 workers. One of our most important actions here has been to test our approach in 3 model factories, 2 in Cambodia and 1 in Bangladesh. And so far, we have been able to evaluate the result from the first factory. It's still early in the process, but we can see some really promising results. For example, the overtime has been reduced with more than 40%, and the dialogue between the workers and the management has increased significantly. We can also see that wages have gone up, and most importantly, in the worker survey that we have done, we can also see that the workers themselves can see a positive change happening at the factory. So based on these learnings, we want to scale this up. So for the year coming, we have decided to implement this in 60 factories, which takes us one step closer towards the goal we have set for 2018. Finally, one area that I would like to touch upon and highlight is that of transparency, because I think that this is really key if you're going to work with sustainability. To us, this means that we are transparent to our customers and other stakeholders about our business. For example, where and how our products are made. In 2013, we took an important step, and as one of the first brands in our industry, we published the full list of our suppliers. This year, we have taken this even further, and we added the names and the addresses of the suppliers that provide yarn and fabric to our suppliers. Today, these suppliers cover around 35% of our total products, but the aim is, of course, to integrate even more and, in the long term, have full transparency of our supply chain. So looking back at when I started, I think that there are, of course, challenges that remain, but it's amazing to see the journey that we have actually done. I think it says something not only about the journey that H&M has done, but also how fast sustainability is moving in the fashion world as a whole. So H&M, sustainability has been part of our business for many years, and it's really based on the fact that it should be a natural and integrated part of everything that we do. So to highlight this, we have decided to integrate sustainability in our business idea, which is fashion and quality at the best price in a sustainable way. I think that this shows how important we see this to our business, and also that we want this to be at the core of everything that we do. So yesterday, I had a conversation with Simon, and he asked me, so what are the main things, Anna, that you want the audience to bring with them from today's presentation? And I think it can be summarized in 3 things, really. So to begin with, I know that there's been a lot of facts and figures and information to take in, but we have made some great achievements last year that we are so proud of. For example, how we managed to double the amount of garments we have collected and turn part of that into recycled products, the promising results we can see from our Fair Living Wage strategy, and not least how we have worked with transparency and included more suppliers further back in the supply chain in our public supplier list. And second, I also want to be transparent and say that even though we've come a far way, there are still some big challenges ahead of us, and we don't know exactly how to tackle all of them just yet. For example, the fashion industry today is too dependent on natural resources, and even though we have taken some first important steps, we know that there's a long journey to be made before we can have a fully closed-loop system. Also, the garment industry will continue to operate on markets that are complex and that are challenging, so we know that working to improve working conditions is going to be a great focus for us also in the future. And then thirdly, I want you to know that we are genuine in our efforts and that there's a great commitment for the sustainability work that we do from the entire company all the way from the top. So we may not always choose the way that is the most convenient or the easiest one to communicate, but we always try to choose the one that's more sustainable and is better in the long term. So I want you and all our customers to feel that you're proud of shopping at H&M and knowing that when you do so, you are making a more sustainable choice. With that, I would like to thank all of you for your attention and for taking the time to join this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. That was fantastic. When I started at Parsons 7 years ago, we looked at sustainability, but it wasn't really part of the DNA of the designers that go through that school. I don't know if you're all familiar with it, but it's a design school in New York. But it's become part of their DNA, and now it's just expected. And I think this is a good example of what a corporation can do. We should expect this kind of level of scrutiny of any corporation, any company that's selling clothing. And yes, there's a long way to go, but at least the conversation is open and taking place. And I'm fascinated by this. So now, as evidence of what that collection actually looks like, what that means in terms of real products, I would like to invite Katarina and Anne-Sophie from H&M to the stage to present some of the collections, some of the garments from the collection. Please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. So you've probably seen all the beautiful garments here along the walls and outside already this morning. It's our Conscious exclusive collection, which is perhaps the best proof we have that you really don't need to compromise fashion for sustainability. It will launch next week, on the 16th of April to be precise, in selected stores and online on all H&M markets. This collection is equally popular among fashion editors, celebrities and other fashion customers. And what's unique about it is that it's made of new and innovative materials, of which many we have developed from scratch together with our suppliers, which is a really challenging and time-consuming and also very costly process. But it's also very rewarding, because this way we contribute not only to our own sustainability work, and we make it possible to offer our customers these amazing products with more sustainable fabrics, but we also contribute to the entire fashion industry by introducing these new materials on the market. However, Conscious exclusive collection is produced exactly the same way as all other H&M products, and they all have an added sustainability value, thanks to our extensive sustainability work that Anna has just talked about. This means that everything from the cotton field to encouraging our customers to care for their clothes in a more sustainable way. The Conscious products are the ones carrying a green hang tag in our stores, and that means that they are made with more sustainable, certified materials. And we always have quite a wide range of Conscious product in our stores, from the basics departments, at the sportswear departments, at the kids department, for instance, and we always have a Conscious choice in all different collections. But this is special. But what it means with that the material is more sustainable is that it could be organic, which is that it's produced without the use of chemical fertilizers or pesticides, and without GMO, so it's not genetically modified. It could be recycled from pre- or post-consumer waste. Pre-consumer waste would be waste from production, for instance, fabric waste from production, I should say. Or post-consumer waste, which could be like old plastic bottles, carpets, or old fishnets, for instance. They could also be FSC certified, which means certified by the Forest Stewardship Council for sustainable forestry, or they could be lyocell, which is cellulose produced in a closed loop and more sustainable process. Every year we introduce some new materials, and last year we saw, through this collection I should say, which is the one we experiment with a little bit. It's smaller quantities and it's all done from scratch. So last year we saw organic leather for the first time, which is vegetable tanned leather from animals bred for organic meat production. And we also saw organic silk, which is produced by silkworms living and working in organic mulberry trees. And this year we have managed to source sustainable embellishments. All the pearls and sequins on the beautiful dresses out here are made with from old recycled shampoo bottles and other plastic containers. The collection is produced in Turkey, India and China, and the organic leather is actually from Sweden. And the price points range between 15 to 300 euros. So it's a little bit high, but that depends, of course, that we have leather and silk and other beautiful materials in this collection. However, the price is not higher because the fabrics are more expensive, which they actually are in the beginning, but it's an investment that H&M takes, because we don't want to charge the consumer any more for these sustainable products, as we want sustainable fashion to be democratic. But as for you know everything about the design process,
I know
how is
everything.
that different?
Well, the actual design process is more or less the same as with any collection we are making. It always starts with, doing a lot of research, taking in a lot of inspiration and information, and kind of funnel that down to a vision, a goal, a theme for the collection, and also making a mood board, of course. So, and this is always a close teamwork at H&M. Everything we do at H&M is about teamwork. So designers are working together with pattern makers, with buyers, with budget controllers, assistants, and everyone, you know, have the same goal, and that is, of course, to make the best collection possible. And we then have the mood board, and from that we know what kind of fabrics, what materials, what embellishments we want to work with for the collection. And then we contact our colleagues, our equally dedicated colleagues in our production offices. And this is, for this collection, it's mainly in Shanghai. And they start to source these fabrics or actually develop them from scratch together with suppliers.
And this collection actually started as a red carpet collection, which is what we called it at start. And it was due to our celebrities stylists that we work with. They were requesting high-end fashion made with more sustainable fabrics for the red carpet. So that's how it actually began. But then, of course, all fashion consumers were equally fond of the collection. So that's why it's continued. And it's now the 4th year that we launch our Conscious Exclusive. This year we've taken influence from all over the world, haven't we?
Yes, we kind of embraced all kind of different cultures from different parts of the world. So you will see inspiration such from, like African embroideries. So the inspiration is taken from African embroideries. We'll have inspiration from Japan with cuttings, you know, like what I have on, like a kimono sleeve, or also the jacquards you will see is a little bit from Japanese influences, and also Indian beading. So it's a lot of different handicraft and artisanal work that we got inspiration from. And then also we have some really beautiful prints and beautiful dresses. The prints are also made from an in-house design team. And this dress is made from organic linen and silk. And all the petticoats are made from recycled polyester. And I think the prints in themselves are really beautiful, also like big statement prints, feathery inspiration from birds and the nature. And also the skirt that you're wearing, Katarina.
Yeah?
I have to pull it.
Yeah.
This is a lot of fabric in this one, as you can see.
Yeah.
It's also
Lots
made
of
of
petticoats,
organic linen with silk, and also here the petticoats are, and I don't, shall I pull it up?
That's all right, yeah. I'm not shy.
No, you're not shy. That's also made from recycled polyester.
Yeah.
And also here you can see the beautiful print in a kind of neutral color scale. And recycled, what we're really proud of this year, as Katarina mentioned, is actually the embellishment, because this is the first time that we can make sustainable or recycled plastics into embellishments. So that is a new thing, and we always try, you know, every year to push the boundaries and to see what is actually possible to make more sustainable, and of course into beautiful pieces also, because we want this collection to be something that it should feel updated and on trend, of course, but also timeless at the same time. So you can wear it from season to season and really cherish and love your pieces.
Yeah.
And I think that you only do when you do really beautiful things.
Yeah, the uniqueness can be really timeless, can't it? And we also have some tailored pieces, don't we?
A little bit of tailored pieces also, of a jumpsuit, also with a little bit of Japanese inspiration with the obi belt and the close cut to the neck. And this is made of hemp. And
organic
wool.
hemp.
Organic hemp and wool.
And also you're wearing something
and also
really...
the one I'm wearing, it's organic silk,
Yeah.
a little bit of a tuxedo thing. So the collection is both a little bit feminine with the dresses, as you can see, really feminine dresses. Yours feminine today, I'm a little bit more. And also a little bit of masculinity, and it's always nice to clash these two. So organic silk here in the tuxedo, and as I said, a little bit of a kimono thing here, a little bit of a coat dress, kimono-inspired coat dress, and this is made of tencel. Also here with the obi belts, it's a lot of focus on the waist and with wide belts.
And the colors are mostly really neutral and kind of versatile and would probably suit anyone, wouldn't they?
I think for the colors, we also thought that it was going to be something that is quite timeless and seasonless also, so you can wear it over and over again. So that is why we choose to work with black, of course. You can't really do without black. And then a lot of nice neutrals, really warm beige tones, powdery pinks, different kind of white things. So doesn't become too flat. And
this
grayish.
is interesting. This is a unique skirt, actually, for this for this event. So you can, if you're lucky, you'll get your hands on one of the few pieces we have of this in the pop-up store afterwards.
Because this was a challenge. We wanted something that was a little bit feathery. As you saw, the prints had feathers on them. So we wanted to have a skirt like this, and we managed to do a few, actually, because it was limited. It's limited edition now because we couldn't produce more, really, because the fabric was so hard to work with.
Yeah. And there are some color.
And the red. We wanted to have an accent color also, of course, and red is really, you know, a good color. It's a fierce color, really. It's a striking color. So this is from Bleu printed, recycled polyester dress in red. It's kind of different kind of cloth there,
kind of print.
and also the little dress at the front there. This is a tencel mix. This is also with a lot of really large flounces with raw edges, which also makes it quite a little bit edgy.
Yeah, and the organic leather is really soft and amazing, actually, that I'm wearing now. We also have some accessories made of this, like the shoes are made of this.
Strappy sandals and the jacket. And as you mentioned before, Katarina, it's Swedish leather, actually, from a small farm called Tärnsjö. I know it's difficult with the dots and everything, but it's called Tärnsjö in Sweden. Yeah. And the cows there are bred for organic meat production. Otherwise, all the leather we use at H&M is for meat production, but this is organic meat production, and it is vegetable tanned also.
Exactly. The collection is really, we have really small quantities of this, so it's a limited availability, and we only sell it in selected stores. We often get the question about why we do this, but it's not really a choice, is it?
Well,
to start?
Well, I mean, these are really new fabrics, and they're new to the market, and the availability so far is quite limited. And they're also more expensive to purchase. But we want to invest in these fabrics. We want to invest in them to make them trickle down into more of our H&M collections, of course. And we want also, I mean, don't want our customers to pay for this. They should be able, you know, anyone should be able to enjoy a conscious exclusive or a sustainable garment from H&M, you know, and not just a few that can afford it. So it's really an investment for the future.
Absolutely, and we're really dedicated to this, although it's a challenge and we still have a long way to go, but it's, for us this is an amazing start and a way to make it happen. And we're all very proud of working at a company that takes this so seriously. All of us, it's a value to everyone working here. And we'll keep working with this in order to make fashion sustainable.
But you know, we are working full on now with next year's conscious exclusive collection. So hopefully we will have something new there as well. Then
it takes twice as long, doesn't it,
further?
To produce these collections. Actually, anyway, we'll keep working to make fashion sustainable and sustainability fashionable in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was excellent, thank you. For me, what's really important here is that H&M is not a charity, and that's not a charitable collection. And you know, often you'll see companies that make a gesture with something sustainable because they think it's the right thing to do, and it's part of their marketing plan, and you know, they lose a bit of money on it, but it makes them look good. This is part of the collection. This is a profit-making venture, and it's proving that you can be sustainable and generate profit. So we're on to the next part of the program now. I'm going to ask a panel to come and join me on stage. While I do that, there's something that we do whenever I do these sort of presentations that I think is really important, and that is audience participation. You know, like in a pantomime when they say it's behind you, it's like that, but it's not. Do me a favor, just turn to the person next to you if you don't know them and introduce yourself to them. Because this is all part of a conversation, and we have to have that conversation. And there's going to be many smart people in this room that you don't know yet, and you might get the opportunity of learning something new. So as I welcome the panel to the stage, please, right now, turn to your left and to your right and introduce yourself to somebody that you don't know. Okay, so do that now, and if the panel would like to please come up to the stage. Wherever you like.
Shall I go in between there? Again, spread out a bit. Maybe, where do you want? Guys and ladies, maybe you can sit here.
Oh,
well done, great presentation.
Nice. Oh, thank you, thank you.
Okay.
Just a bit of a warning though, it's getting hot up here.
Yes, yeah, and the lights.
Ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
See where we go.
I did ask you to, I asked you to introduce yourself, not arrange a date for tonight. So we have an incredible panel here. It only works if you ask smart questions. I'm going to ask the panel some things. We're going to have a conversation for about 20 minutes. But please think about what you would like to ask them. If you don't agree with them, write it down and ask them afterwards. If you're enthusiastically in support, then jump up in the air and applaud and encourage your friends to do the same. But equally the opposite. Like they don't know everything and they might not get it all right. And we only take this conversation further if you engage in it. So I should do my best to interrupt, talk over and generally annoy everybody. And I encourage you to do the same. We are going to start by just introducing the panel. They're going to introduce themselves just in a few words about who you are and why you do what you do. Henrik.
So Henrik Lampe is my name. I've been with H&M for 13 years. I'm environmental sustainability manager, and I do it because I love working with these issues.
Janet?
I'm Janet Mensink. I work for Solidaridad, and I maybe need to explain that. Solidaridad is an international network organization, non-profit, and what we work for is sustainable economies, and one of the main sectors that we're working in is the fashion industry. And I worked there for 11 years, and we have a partnership with H&M, and that's the reason why I'm here.
Brilliant. Katarina?
Well, I'm a sustainable fashion advisor at H&M, as you know. And I'm in it for fashion, really. I love fashion. I've been working with fashion since 1987. And to me, this is the next big thing, to integrate sustainability in our industry. So, yeah, that's why.
Peter?
Hi, good morning, everybody. My name is Peter McAllister. I work for the Ethical Trading Initiative. We work with companies like H&M, trade unions and NGOs, and we work on the people side of the sustainability equation. Thank you.
Anna?
So my name is Anna Gedda. I work as head of sustainability since past 4 months. But before that, I worked within sustainability at H&M as well. I do this because I love it, and I think that the way that H&M is, the approach that we have, really makes it possible for us to create change, and that's really why I'm in this position.
So, brilliant. So there's a report. You can all read it. You'll learn all the things that H&M are doing. But I'm interested, so the title of this conversation is Making Fashion Sustainably and Making Sustainability Fashionable. So I'm particularly interested in the second part of that, because my first question, I guess, is do you think the public really cares? Henrik?
Well, we can see that they care by asking them. So when we ask them, do you buy environmentally friendly clothing or do you actively look for that, that number has sort of doubled in the last couple of years.
Everyone's going to say yes to that. But do they actually buy it? Because if you look at the market, most clothing is not sustainable. So you might wonder, do they really care?
I think that they express who they want to be, and I think they want someone to help it make it easy for them.
What do you think, Janet?
I do agree. I think people care once they know about this. I do think there's a role to play to tell the story, what is behind a T-shirt, and that's a long, complex chain with a lot of, right now, challenges we're still facing, but in terms of environmental issues, social issues. But there's also a lot of opportunities because this industry gives jobs, employment, living incomes to hundreds of millions of people, often in developing countries. We do have little other options. So what really drives me is if we can make this sector good for the people and the planet.
Yeah, if you ask anyone if they care about sustainability, of course they're going to say yes. Right? Who's going to say no? You know, but then they'll go straight to one of the big department stores or stores that doesn't care about sustainability and buy cheap crap there, and then they'll chuck it away and it'll become landfill. You know, most people don't recycle their clothes in H&M. Thankfully, loads of people do, and you're making that happen. But, you know, the harsh reality I have to ask is, do people really care? And rather than just saying, yeah, I do. What do you think, Peter?
It's a conundrum, isn't it? Because most people would want to make sure that fashion's not just about this season, but they've got an opportunity to buy fashion next year, in 5 years, in 10 years, and 25 years. And I've got daughters who are teenagers, and they're absolutely excited about what's happening today. But I expect they'll be absolutely excited about what's happening in 5 or 10 years. Sustainability is at the heart of that offer. I think what customers are expecting from a leading company like H&M is, don't sell it to us, lead us. Make it part of the offer, make it part of the brand value, make it part of when I step into your store, that's what I'm getting. Not a special garment, but actually part of the offer. And companies are doing that, are going to be here in 5, 10, 25 years. Companies who don't do that are missing the boat, and they will fade.
One of the things that came out of the presentation of the garments was the trans-seasonal nature of some of the products, which I think is key, because one can argue that producing garments every month or every season is not terribly sustainable because you could make things last a bit longer. What do you think about that, Anna?
Well, I think, to begin with, the business idea that we have is fashion and quality at the best price in a sustainable way. And with that, of course, means that our products should be made with quality that makes them last longer. So we are not encouraging that kind of thing. What I think is important is that when it comes to consumption, it really has some great benefits. It helps create jobs, it provides social development and growth. The challenge that we have there is that it's a very resource, this industry requires a lot of resources, and we need to meet that challenge by finding a way to close the loop, and in that sense, make the whole industry more sustainable.
So, Katarina, sustainability often is targeted at the clothing. We all wonder about whether it's organic and recycled, etc. But of course, sustainability is much more than that. We tend to use the word responsibility back at Parsons. Tell us a little bit about the way that H&M is working to sustain the lives of the people making these products, because it often comes up, how can you possibly make a garment for £4 or something, and for that to be sustainable for the person making it? But clearly it can be, and in some cases it's vital. So tell us a little bit about what H&M's doing there.
I think actually Anna is the best person answering that question. I'm sorry, but you're really the expert, aren't you?
Yeah. I think, it's a really good question. And from our perspective, sustainability has nothing to do with price. We produce our products with a number of different suppliers, and they also produce for a lot of other brands, both our competitors and other premium brands. So it means that the workers are working under the same working conditions and getting paid the same wages, regardless of what brand they are producing for, and also regardless of what price that product is being sold for in a store. So I think the reason why we can be affordable with our customer offer is because, we make our own design, as Anne-Sophie was mentioning previously. We have an effective logistics system, and also we buy very big volumes. It's not because we compromise on sustainability.
It's one of the things that drives me crazy. When you look at the Rana Plaza disaster, for instance, the companies that didn't make any effort to contribute to the charity that was established after that, I think it's absolutely infuriating. Companies that were manufacturing there, and then conversely, your companies that were not manufacturing there, and yet still decided to contribute, H&M being one example of that. It drives me crazy. The companies that passionately don't care. Henrik, what drives you crazy?
I think sometimes I need to fight with my sort of impatience of moving things, but realizing also, having worked with this for a bunch of years, patience is really a great asset, because collaboration, for example, is a key. Collaboration takes time, but if you want to reach to the next level, the collaboration is vital. So that is sort of a love-hate relationship with me. Sometimes it drives me crazy, and then I try to be patient.
What about you, Janet?
Yeah, well, it drives me crazy if I hear about stories like Rana Plaza, but we have to realize that the Rana Plaza is not isolated. This is a symptom of the whole industry. Similar things happen also down the chain at the cotton fields and in other countries, and Myanmar, Africa, Cambodia. But there is what drives me more crazy is that I think there is an opportunity, and it is doable, to make it in a more environmental and socially friendly way. H&M is leading in that and is showing that it can be done. And there's still a lot of companies in our sector who are hiding behind excuses like, it cannot be done because we can't control our supply chain. And I realize it's complex, and also someone needs to make a start, but just by cooperating, what we did with H&M together, we can see we make small steps, but right now, compared to 5 years ago, we've reached so much scale.
Yeah. Katarina, what would you like to speed up massively? Like, what do you think that's happening right now, but if you could just do that, flick a switch and make it happen 100 times more, what would you do?
What would I do? Yeah, I would probably speed up the communication about sustainability. I think we still haven't really found the right language or the right way to engage with consumers. So speed up the communication process and engage with our consumers, with our customers, and also get them to wash and care for their clothes in a more sustainable way. For instance, we have this wash care symbol that we introduced a couple of years ago that's called clevercare.info, which is about how you can lower your climate impact through the user face by less than half, just by simple things like lowering the temperature when you wash, avoid tumble drying and things like that. So yeah.
Yeah, awareness is really critical, isn't it?
Important.
Yeah. So talking of
Simon, it's not just consumers, it's also shareholders and boards. What's illustrative is H&M still a very strong family company, and that family values come through, having met a lot of the senior people here. Yet far too many boards and far too many shareholders are not driving their companies to say, this isn't actually about doing a nice thing, as you were saying earlier. It's about sustaining the company. It's about the right way of doing business. So consumer pressure, absolutely. Media has a role to play. But what drives me mad, to answer your earlier question, is not enough boards get that this is actually a business issue. Until their shareholders and boards get this, you don't get the drive within the companies.
Sometimes I'm quite pleased about that, though, because it means they will then fail, and they'll get out of the way. They'll no longer be the problem. I was thrilled last week, or a couple of weeks ago, about Starbucks. Whoever says that, I was thrilled about Starbucks, making the statement they did about that egregious law in Indiana, the hate law that they passed. I think when a corporation is prepared to stand up and do something, it's fantastic. I think that, Peter, I was actually going to ask you, I love the fact that H&M and Kering are getting together, and I think H&M's openness and conversation with other companies is so critical, because nobody can do this on their own. But who else has struck you, Peter, in the work that you do as leading the way in an area of responsibility, if not sustainability?
Well, it's really important to make the comment that this sector has some really chronic problems. Low wages, long hours, difficult conditions. At the most fundamental, health and safety. Buildings collapse and fires happen in this industry. And I think Rana Plaza, as you mentioned, Simon, was a real wake-up call for many companies. What's really positive out of that is we're seeing collaborations we've never seen before. So leading brands like H&M and C&A and Primark and M&S and others getting together behind things like the Accord to make sure factories are safe in Bangladesh. Companies getting together to tackle wages for the first time collectively, recognizing this isn't a CSR project or a brand issue, it's about the sustainability of the industry. So actually, although some really terrible things have happened, there are some green shoots of some collaborations that we've never seen before. And being an incurable optimist, I'm encouraged by that.
It would be great, wouldn't it, if the words Rana Plaza could be applied to something great that happened as a result of that terrible tragedy. Certainly, I've come across a charity recently that was set up, inspired by Rana Plaza, where they're recycling saris and making them into scarves and selling the scarves and donating money. And it's a very small project, but it's profitable, and it's generating interest, and it's something that people can get behind. So it seems to me there are various core constituencies that we need to get in touch with, and these are the executive boards who can make these kinds of decisions, the designers who I've been lucky enough to work with over the past few years, who this becomes part of their DNA, and then also the consumer, where we want them to wash less, wash cooler, buy more responsibly, recycle more, repurpose more. How can we address those? I mean, how can we get to those people? Because, I don't believe that the consumer really cares. I don't think the boards really care. They care about money, and the consumer cares about everything right up until it affects their pocketbook, their wallet, then they care. So how do we get through to them? Janet?
Yeah, well, before I answer that question, maybe first, I think, in addition to the stakeholders that you were mentioning, also the engagement in the supply chain with the suppliers, with cotton farmers, that is extremely needed. And also, if you work on that, as we do with H&M and other brands, do training programs in factories to reduce the water consumption, to improve the work conditions, and at cotton farms to increase the profitability and use less pesticides when growing cotton. It doesn't happen by itself. People need to collaborate, organizations need to collaborate, and you need to make new coalitions and alliances and invest in that. And that is what H&M is doing. And then on top of that, as Anna was also mentioning, this sector needs to change, so you need to engage also with governments in the countries where these products are coming from.
Katarina, you're involved in PR. How do we tell more people?
Yeah, I think we
about
tell them
this?
through beautiful products, and also, of course, making those beautiful products. There are a lot of sustainability aspects within the design process. I mean, 80% of a garment's sustainability value is decided when we design it. So it's the longevity of garments, for instance, the longevity of the design. And we see now that the trends have also slowed down. It's more about personal style than fast-changing trends today, isn't it? So that in itself is more sustainable. But I think it's attracting them to beautiful products, beautiful fashion, because that's the core of our business. That's why people come to us. But then integrate these messages and these values in the product and engage with customers. So
so we are going to be looking for questions soon. Henrik, you had a point.
No, I just wanted to raise one thing. What we learned by speaking to kids in different schools in Sweden, wanted to know about what is important for them. And one of the things we learned is there is a famous football player in Sweden called Zlatan. So they said, I want to do more garment collecting. I will leave my garments in the stores if Zlatan do it, because he's cool. So how can we make this cool? It's kind of a thing
I'm
which
glad
is
you said that.
striking to a personal point. I think.
Yeah, because, I hate to be the cynic, I guess, but I don't think they are going to care unless we give them a reason to care. Like Rana Plaza is a touch point that people can get really upset about, and that's something that you can use to motivate people. I think that the collection is beautiful, and a lot of people will buy it just because they love the collection. They won't worry about whether it's sustainable or not, and if it is, oh, that's nice. But if the red dress over there is not, they might, I like that one more. So I'm sort of looking for how can we, like you look at politics, wedge politics in America are huge, and if you want someone to vote for you, you have to make them hate the other guy, and then they'll vote for you just because they hate him more than they hate you, which is tragic, but it's a reality of where we are. So how do we make them hate non-sustainable products?
Maybe it's not hate, Simon. Maybe it's using that competitive instinct. So, I guarantee all the competitors will be watching what comes out of this today. And if people like H&M can demonstrate you can have fantastic products, you can make money, you can get consumers' interest, you can get media interest, that will register. The competitive instincts in this industry are fierce. So let's use that energy. At the other end, there is a role for campaigners. Campaigners often amplify maybe a small consumer voice, but when it works, it's because they've hit the nail on the head. And companies listen. So, speaking up as consumers, speaking up as media, and then showing that there is a way forward. It isn't all bad news. There are companies prepared to innovate and change and try different things.
But
Yes.
I'd also like to say just one thing that of course, it is really important to make sure that we can engage our customers and make them realize how important sustainability is. But that's not just the only driving force for us when it comes to sustainability. To us, this is really about securing our business also in the future. We need to have a sustainable resource supply. We need to have stable production markets. And of course, we know that consumers in the future are going to care even more about sustainability. So what we are doing now is really preparing for that by making sure that we are putting our investments in the things that we think are right, because we want to do it in a sustainable way. So it's not just about listening in to what the other people are thinking. It's also about learning, what is the gut feeling and how is it that we really want to drive sustainability in a way that we think is basically how it's done.
So, Henrik, if there was something about our conversation that you could really emphasize to one of those groups, whether it's one of the four groups, the supply chain, the execs, the designers, or the consumers, what's one of the sharp points that you would really want to drive home? I'm thinking about Instagram and Twitter at this point.
Okay, I wasn't thinking about that, but I was thinking about. One of the things that I think is really inspiring in all of this is sort of there is innovation happening. There is a lot of new things. Maybe it is sort of innovations like Instagram and stuff, but I think it's also we need technical innovation on sort of driving recycling, because we can realize that the people that have done sort of left things in their store, they realize that they appreciate kind of things like that. This is sort of innovating their everyday life.
Yeah, I'm fascinated as to why other stores are not recycling. And I hope someone's going to ask them that question if they're in the room with them. You guys are all the media. Ask them that question. Because, I speak to people about H&M and say, have you seen this recycling program? And they don't really know. So I talk about it because I think it's great. And you can get stuff. But other people aren't doing it. It must make money because it's not a charity. So, anyone got any ideas why they're not doing it? It's perplexing me. Peter, you interact with other companies. Why do they not care more?
Too many companies see the cost side of doing sustainability first and don't actually have the vision, and I mean vision, to see actually, yes, there is an investment cost, and H&M have talked about that, but the potential gain is real. It's real commercial gain. It's about underpinning the brand. It's about speaking to your consumers. And I think far too many companies in a competitive environment don't get past what will it cost us, as opposed to what will it give us. And I think that's one of the barriers, that people just need to have vision and courage and say, this is right for the company, it's right for the planet, it's right for our consumers, it's right for our brand. We'll make the investment.
So who's getting that message across then? Because, I think this is a wonderful event, and the thing that keeps coming into my mind is the trouble with sustainability is all the nice people support it, and the nice people aren't the ones that generate all the angry voices in the media. So who's getting a lot of attention about sustainability that we can all learn from, besides H&M? Anyone?
One inspiration is, I think, we collaborated with Stella McCartney back in the days, I don't know, 10 years ago or something like that. And I think she was an inspiration for us on sustainable materials, for example, animal welfare and so on. So
yeah, that's very good. I actually interviewed François-Henri Pinault last week, and we were talking about Stella. There are no compromises there. Like, I'm sure you've all been in Stella's stores, or at least familiar with her brand. You don't look at it and think, oh, that's organic, or that's, there's no leather used there. You don't think about that. You just think about the products. That's it. Just as with that collection right there. He doesn't say organic. So I think that's a great example, yeah.
Yeah, and also I think G-Star, who won our Conscious Award in Sweden this year, I think they're really inspiring, the way they've chosen to choose, they've chosen the most core product of our wardrobe, which is a pair of jeans, and create new innovative materials made of ocean plastic, like I'm talking about the Bionic initiative. So I think that's also very inspiring.
I think, yeah, you remind me of a company in America that celebrates the lives of their workers in the factory. Because too many people are just completely oblivious. Until Rana Plaza, they don't, factories or whatever they are, they don't have any vision of them at all. I feel like if someone went around, you know, H&M is exposing the factories that they use and listing all of them so you can have a look at them. You know, a lot of companies, a lot of factories are online. But if somebody went around with a camera and filmed the real life of some people that are in the unregulated factories, it's like fake bags. Everyone thinks that they're hurting Louis Vuitton by buying a knockoff bag. Well, yeah, but you're actually hurting the people that make it because they're completely unregulated. So I think talking about, you know, the sharp points, if people could see what life is like in Rana Plaza before it fell down, that's the sort of thing that's going to push people to, because they're going to hate the idea of that and think, well, I'd better buy the right thing then.
I do think transparency is the key word in here. So, yes, showing what is happening in the factories, and also being open about the investment you're making and the gains for that, business-wise, but also the results at field level with cotton farmers, at the factory level. And this is where H&M and also other brands that we just mentioned, G-Star, CNA, they're all leaders in that, and they don't focus on one single issue, because sustainability is a complex issue, and we're not talking about just wages or just safety or just chemicals. All these, the leading brands, they are seeing it as a holistic approach, and they are transparent and also dare to admit that there's a long way to go, but they're investing in it. And I think that is in the end going to lead the way. I don't believe that hiding behind it's not doable, that's going to be sustainable and also business-wise durable.
All right, so we have time for some questions from the audience. So there are microphones. Anyone would like to raise their hand with a question? Yes, there's a lady here.
Hi.
If you could use the microphones, because we're live streaming, so otherwise we can't pick it up.
My name is Sabra. I'm with the Wall Street Journal. I really enjoyed listening to all of you speak, but the question that does come to mind is, in terms of profitability, you talked about H&M taking a little bit of a hit and absorbing some of the costs when making these sustainable garments. If you see sustainable clothing as something that is really going to go mainstream and going to be in stores all over, isn't profitability at the core of making that proposition actually work? Because shareholders, not just at H&M, but at kind of public companies all over, they are going to be focused on profitability. So I guess, how do you see reconciling bringing sustainability mainstream with also being a profitable public company?
Excellent question, yes.
I would love to respond to that. I think one of the things at H&M that is important is being careful with money. That is a way for us to bring a good price to the customer. And being careful with the money is a lot about being careful with resources. So if you're recycling resources, that is in the long run going to be beneficial price-wise. If you're not going to do that, you will not be competitive. So for us to really embark on that is important for that reason, exactly, I think.
And I can maybe give a very concrete example of that, because in the programs that we're doing together in Bangladesh and in China, for instance, we do trainings about, in the dyeing houses, about energy saving, water saving, chemicals, caring for chemicals, occupational health and safety. But very simple measures have sometimes a very short payback time of only 6 months or a year. So then sustainability really goes hand in hand with smart business.
Peter.
And I would add, if we were shipping magnets here, you wouldn't think about asking about the investment over 5, 10, 15 years. It's normal. The problem that the fashion industry has got is to break out of that idea that it's about the next contract, the next season, and that a proportion of that investment is actually about a 5-year horizon. New fabrics, new products, new business processes. So part of it is breaking out that question, saying, yes, of course they've got to be profitable, but some of that R&D and some of that investment has got to be around the vision, they've got to be around the future. And again, that family relationship in H&M, I think, makes that easier than probably some of the PLCs, but that's why they're leading the way.
Do you know what? I'm glad you asked that question, because I think it's the wrong question. Because we've moved on from that question. And this is not about you, because that question comes up a lot. It's there. They're not a charity. They don't make clothes for the pleasure of making clothes. They make clothes because they make money out of it. I think the question is, if this is sustainable and profitable, why the hell are other companies not doing it? That's what I'm interested in. Like, we've proved it. It's profitable. There you go. Done. That question's done. So where's the answer to the next question? All right, talking of the next question. Yes, lady here in the middle.
Hi, I'm Georgina Maltier from British GQ magazine. I just wondered if there are any plans to extend this to include menswear. Obviously, men are a huge consumer as well, and we've not mentioned menswear at all today.
Yes, we do have a lot of menswear products with a green hang tag in our stores at all times. This collection is, this year we chose to do it for women only. 2 years ago it was also menswear included in it, so it's not, we haven't excluded the men at all. It's
but
just
they are seen as important a consumer as...
Oh, absolutely, of course, yes.
I wonder which men or women are going to be the quickest to actually buy into this, to understand what it is. Because women, one could argue, for a long time have been a much more informed consumer, but you know, all you hear about now is the rise of men as a consumer and the evolution of men's buying patterns. So I wonder if, because they're a newer market, we can get into them quicker.
I think it depends on what kind of product category we are talking about. I think when it comes to high fashion, it's probably women, but then we also have a big selection of sportswear, which is where I think men will probably pick up the more the functional fabrics made of more sustainable fibers and that sort of thing, probably quicker and to a larger extent.
Next question. Yes.
I'm a teenager, and I was wondering, how do you suggest that, I mean, you've talked about Sweden, making it popular in Sweden, this whole sustainability program, but how do you suggest for other cultures and other places, such as the UK or America?
I'm sorry, what's the question?
How are you going to make this program reach everybody rather than just one group in Sweden?
I think there are a lot of preconceived ideas on markets that are more mature than others, and because I think it's on certain issues. Sweden, for example, is mature in some of the sustainability issues, but we have the most fuel inefficient fleet in Europe. We had it some years ago. So we are not like the beacon in the world. There are so many things happening in China, for example, the BRICS countries, when it comes to awareness. I mean, on some of the issues, they are just far more developed than us. So I think it's hard to, I think that's sort of a very classical way of looking at it. But when you talk to customers, you get another result, actually.
Can I ask the question back, actually? You're a teenager, so you're the people that we want to reach with the whole message about sustainability. So how do you think messages resonate with teenagers?
I think it's just sort of being able to make television programs or something which teenagers watch. I mean, teenagers watch TV all the time. My friends are big into TV. And I think a big part would be making a program for them to understand. So the Rana Plaza program with Panorama, that was a very big thing, but it's more of an adult platform. It's more adults watch Panorama. And so a few of my friends who take geography watched it as globalization. But I think a large part of the population, teenage population, is very, they're not contacted, they're not conscious about this sort of programs, they don't know. I mean, if they saw a product in the store, they wouldn't know whether or not it was sustainable or not, because it's a product for them.
That's what you get after the sad demise of John Craven's Newsround, isn't it? See, the sad reality is that it seems to me like most people pay attention to celebrities more than anything else. And so if that's where we live, then I guess we have to accept that's where we live. So is that what we have to do? Do we have to get a bunch of celebrities wearing these clothes and talking about... Yeah. I mean, certainly in the caring group, François-Henri Pinault was married to Salma Hayek, and so there's a great attention on them. And so as much as he's an exec anyway, it's tripled by that star power, which for some it's a sad reality, but it's a reality nonetheless.
I think you're showing your age with the John Craven comment, because again, mostly my girls are picking stuff up from YouTubers, and it changes so fast. The message, the method of the message, the type of message, and who they're accessing, and it is true. Those channels are probably not the channels that the sustainability message is being fed.
So here's a quick pop quiz then. How many of the audience from the media are from long lead media, and how many from instant blogging media? So long lead media first. Anyone? Very few. And bloggers, online, so a few more. And everyone else is what? Just wandering in off the street. One more question. Yes.
I'm Ruth Sullivan, a freelance journalist. You said earlier that H&M has one of its labour markets as China, and I wondered what you were doing on the ground in areas like the Pearl Dental, which are quite notorious for factory conditions. And China's not a very easy country in terms of labour conditions and transparency. So I wonder how you're tackling that in your supply chains.
Yeah, so I mean, when it comes to how we work with social sustainability, we work with the same method on all the different production markets, of course. I mean, we have a code of conduct and we have a very big audit program where we check that the suppliers meet the requirements and so on. But then, of course, as you mentioned, a lot of the production markets also have their own very different problematics. And China has one, especially when it comes to freedom of association and to be able to actually, for the workers to make their voices heard. What we have worked a lot with there is trying to strengthen the workers so that they can have a better dialogue with the factory management, so they can negotiate about working conditions and wages and other type of issues in a fair way, even though they don't have the same system when it comes to fair or freedom of association as other markets. So for us, it's very much about focusing on the workers and see how can we strengthen them with training, with also talking to the factory management and putting requirements on the suppliers to actually make that happen in the factories.
It's funny you mentioned China. It seems to me that China is one of the more regulated places in the world these days. There are plenty of other countries where companies are going because China's becoming expensive because they have these annoying human rights and regulations and things in a lot of places. Not for nothing, some Chinese companies are themselves investing in other parts of the world, Africa, for example, because they can then go there and get things made. But I'm just the moderator. Can I ask you, we're drawing to an end and there's shopping to be done, and hands up who doesn't like shopping. So once we finish, we're going to go back there and have a look at the pop-up shop for this collection. But I want to ask the panel, in each of you, to just leave the audience with something, just with this one thing that if you don't think about anything else all day, when you're standing around the water cooler later talking about Mad Men or whatever it is, what's that one thing that you want to say? I was at this thing earlier and they said X. Henrik?
Do I need to start? Can't I go last? I need to think about this.
Yeah, you can go. Well, who's got the first one? I've got one. I'm going to go last, though. Anyone?
Well, you know, I think someone said it. Sustainability is cool. I mean, if this collection and this presentation doesn't show that, then I don't know what does. So just share it with your friends.
Cool.
Sustainability can be cool.
Yeah, I just want to echo on what Peter is saying there as well, that sustainability has also nothing to do with price, and I think that this collection also shows that. I mean, we can actually provide both sustainable and affordable fashion to all our customers.
I would like to say sustainability is doable, and H&M is showing a really good example, and it's also urgent, and we can't close our eyes. So I would like to make a call also, and hope this event is also an inspiration for other brands to pick up on investing in sustainability.
Yeah.
Katarina?
So, yeah, you've said a lot of good things already, but maybe spread the message about recycling. It's important that people actually get to know about our recycling initiative and help us close the loop in fashion.
I would have to end with collaboration in general, with customers, with innovators to drive closing loop and suppliers and so on. I think that's a key for the future success.
Yeah. Well, so the one thing that I would leave you with is stop looking for other people to solve it. Like, you do it. It's your fault. You're the people that buy all this crap that goes into landfill. Stop buying that, buy responsibly, and then companies like H&M will be selling way more of this, and then they'll be able to produce more of it, and it can go down into the more basic supply chain, etc. But it's all your fault, and by you I mean the audience, the live stream audience, everyone. You know, there's that wonderful phrase, be the change you want to see, which I probably misquoted, but it's that, you know, it's on you, not on anyone else. With that, on that cheerful note, this has been a fantastic morning. I've certainly learned a lot. I want to thank H&M for hosting this and for the sustainability report. It's been really amazing. And thanks to Anna, Peter, Katarina, Janet, and Henrik, and the other speakers from earlier on. Please enjoy the shopping afterwards. Thank you.